Happy Wednesday to you all. I just watched a video from, I'm not even sure who it was, but it was a Latin American individual. Based on his accent, I know he speaks Spanish. Who knows? He's probably from there. But he was speaking about his experience with Arajet, the budget carrier. And it's so funny because I had plans to do a similar video, but you know, when the experience is so bad, you try to forget it. And I think because even though I had offered Dominican Republic to my clients, they had enjoyed it. Those who were flying were probably either flying for the first time or because they were going just for a few days, they only took one checked bag and a personal item as I had recommended. Now, for Arajet, which is a Dominican owned airline, it is a private venture and it's 2 years old, 2 years and a little bit in operation. They came to Kingston to the travel agent community and they wanted the buy-in of our agents to begin offering their product, which is a direct service from Kingston, Jamaica into Las Americas at the time in Santo Domingo. And of course, we as agents, we have the clients who continually want to travel, vacation, go see something else, and we encourage it. But they might have challenges securing visas to the States. And so the strong suggestion that we often give is use the Jamaican passport to visit countries that do not require a visa so that you can show that you travel, you have traveled, you have the ability to finance your travels, and even more importantly, at the end of your travels, you return home. Because embassies have that mandate to ensure that the countries that they are operating in, persons who come for a visa to visit their countries that they represent, have the financial means to maintain themselves while in that country for vacation. They will not depend on a citizen, even if it's their family members, and they will not be a distress to those individuals or even to the country. And of course, they have a viable reason to return home. So when Arajet came to Jamaica with that proposition, we were all in favor, and we knew that because this is a possibility to do direct flights, persons are not going for more than a few days, not a biggie. They had 3 different packages, and for me, whenever I'm booking my clients, I always choose the second package, which is comfort, which allows them seats closer to the middle of the plane, and also it allows them to have a checked bag. Now, when we decided that we were going to do a digital nomad experience and we were heading from Jamaica to the Dominican Republic, it just made sense. Firstly, we would try out this product that we have been offering. And secondly, why pay to go through the States to go to DR, which is kind of what we were trying to say. If we can avoid this, we can have our clients traveling even more. Now, because our trip would have been an extended stay, I chose the 3rd package category. I think it's called the Elite. I might be wrong. I've not been back on their site for a while. But it was a disaster from the get-go. Some regrets that I have, some are caused personally because on the planning, my intention was to leave Ocherius, take the Knoxford, overnight in Kingston because I like to stay at the Ligoni Club, get my water therapy in. Desiree gets his tennis in and squash and whatever else. And it's just such a wonderful, comfortable place to be. The flight is not until evening anyway. So that was the initial plan until an opportunity came up with Playa Resorts to do their FAM. And since we had not seen the developments at that property, we headed on to Montego Bay with the plan to get back to Kingston on the ending day of the FAM, which is it was the day of the flight. So we coordinated it perfectly. Now my Arajet misery began when we got to the airport. Standard regulations suggest that you arrive for an international flight 3 hours prior. Well, we got there the recommended 3 hours prior, and there was not even an established check-in point. So we sat there maybe an hour until the representative strolled in, and the questionnaire, the e-ticket that we were supposed to do, we were not even aware that we needed to have it completed to the point where it would produce the QR code. So that wasn't done. And so even at that point, there was no care from the agents. You're basically pushed out of the line and you were told, go stand over there. When it's through, you can come back. Now, I have been traveling for so many years, and I have been in the travel industry for over 30 years. If nothing else, I expect, I give, and I receive service. Don't expect service. Not with Arajet. Not from the people contracted to work with Arajet in Kingston. No, paid almost, I don't know. I wish I had all my facts. I could look it up. But for me, it's not even here nor there. But I know I paid over $300 per person for the third tier that would allow us to take the baggage requirements. So I think we had 2 checked bags, and we had personal item, the carry-on. Whatever we had was whatever was the established arrangement for the third tier, including priority boarding and seat assignments at the front of the plane. Now, this is when it got interesting. Firstly, when we tried to check in, we were told that the bags were too heavy. They asked for 22 kilograms, I believe. Kind of weird because in all my travels, it has always been either 50 pounds or, 20, a little more than 22. But needless to say, having repacked the bags and went back to the check-in counter, the bags were okay now. However, my carry-on, and we had 2 golf, I don't want to say golf bags lest you think it is a bag for golf clubs. We had 2 of these shoulder bags that golfers use when they're carrying their additional stuff. It could be considered a duffel bag. Yeah. We had 2 of those, and they were obviously below weight, and they were labeled as carry-ons. Well, loved ones, they were told to me to be too big, too many inches long. And even though they were shorter than my roller bag, that was my second checked bag, the young lady very rudely insisted that they had to be checked bags. And friends, try as I might, I could not get around this whole policy. And so I had to fork out at the ticketing counter $90 per bag to Arajet. Later I learned that many of these ticketing agents get a commission when they charge at the counter for these checked bags. I attempted to make a complaint to Arajet about that, and honestly, it's like talking to a wall. You get nowhere. And so in life, you kind of have to weigh your battles. It wasn't a battle worth the fight, I realized. So after many attempts, I let it slide. I also asked for a wheelchair because of my mobility challenges. A nice young man was assigned, but it turned out that they are employed to another company. I won't remember the name. Hopefully I can get the name of the company and do another video, because when we were in Orlando sometime later last year, we met some ground handling people working with the same company, and I got a little bit of a better view of what this company is and how they operate. Wonderful young man. Shout out to him. I'm sure I will find his name and I will put a special mention for him so that we can indicate who he was and what he did. So very attentive young man, helped me to repack the bags. Going to the DR for the established 30 days, we packed a lot of our normal things, because when I'm going to a strange place, especially when it comes on to milk products and I'm not familiar with their milk lactose sort of setup, I take my good old Lasco. So I had my Lasco and I had some other things from Jamaica, which are staples in my closet. Being an extended stay, I didn't plan to go to a resort, or if I did, it wouldn't be for more than a few days. So I needed to take stuff for my long-term rental stay. Right. Now, if that was not enough, having now gotten to the gate and it's time to board, the supervisor, it turned out, started to board passengers who were at a particular list on their boarding. Now, I am a wheelchair accessible boarder. For all other airlines, these persons board first. For Arajet, this young lady said, "Oh, you board last." So they'll send everybody in and they will allow people with mobility challenges to wait until the end of boarding. And she also indicated that unless I was priority, I would not be allowed to board. Now, I'm paying the highest tiered position and I am in a wheelchair and I'm being told I am boarding last. So, like any good Jamaican would do, I had to get down into my Jamaicanness, which is something I really don't like to do. But hey, if you gotta do it, you gotta do it, because this woman was ridiculous and she calls herself a supervisor. So I did have to get into it and sort her out. And it didn't help that I was also a A-list passenger. My seat number, I think, was A1 or A4 or something, but I was first class, quote unquote. Eventually, after I dealt with her, I was allowed to board the plane. When I boarded the plane and I got to my seat, I was still fuming because the overall treatment was just so unlike what I'm accustomed to. My son was also the same class as I was in terms of the price point, He, however, did not choose his seat at the time of the booking being done. And they sent him round the back, way around, so highest paying tier. But they had now put him in a category below what we had paid for. And at that point, I was told, if you do not select your seats when you complete the purchase, you lose the privilege of being in the front where the seats are larger, better, more comfortable, all of that. So, me had to kick up a riot on the people in plane. Very unpleasant. I hate doing it. I really hate doing it. But I know that it is something that is available to me just in case I need to. And sometimes you really have to draw for the Jamaicanness. So, having done that, I got the attention. And it was not because of language difficulties, porque sabes que para mí no es ninguna dificultad comunicar en castellano, en español, como le dicen ellos. I was told now that, because of course first class was empty, nobody was shelling out their money. I literally paid it because of the bags, and it didn't help me at all, because here I was, $180 out of pocket because of this activity. So they allowed him to join me in first class at the front of the plane, nice cushy comfortable seats, and all was well. Of course, it was a short flight. They went through all of the pleasantries, but nothing could have made me comfortable on the flight. Nothing, absolutely nothing. I was glad when it was over. And one of the other shockers that I had was that when we were to disembark the flight, we had these steps that were now affixed to the plane. Somehow, after all I'd been through, nothing could have prepared me for it. And the steps were as tall as the wall of Babylon, or Babel, the Tower of Babel. And the incline was of such that I was sure I was going to fall flat, rolling down to the bottom of the steps on my nose bridge. Jet bridge is what I'm accustomed to, ladies and gentlemen. Call me a picky traveler. But Lord man, I have been traveling since 1988. I have only walked up the steps of a plane in 1988 and 1989. From there onwards, jet bridge me say. So for me, I forgot to use steps with my mobility challenges and carry my bags down the steps. It was not a pretty sight. It was not going to happen. Thank God my son was there for me. And there was one of the flight attendants who also, he saw my distress and he assisted me. But then after you walk down the steps, there are these buses that you have to go onto to get to the terminal. Mark you, I'm a wheelchair person. No provision is made to get me on those buses where you have to lift your leg like you're climbing Kilimanjaro to step up on those buses to get in. Suffice to say, getting off was almost like getting down on my knees and on my bottom and sliding out. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. So, the question is, will I fly Arajet again? I have a humongous question sign. And the only reason, which is not exactly a compelling reason enough, is because it's a direct flight to Jamaica from Santo Domingo and now from Punta Cana. But that is not enough to make me want to fly them. They hide behind the fact that they don't speak English, and they know they speak as much English as they need to speak when they need to speak it. They are not responsive. They are very hard to deal with, even on their WhatsApp customer service communication. It's just really, really difficult. Now, my clients who have no other option, and those who are probably not as well traveled and who are young and frisky, yeah, fine, sure. But for people who are accustomed to a particular level of service and a particular level of comfort, and whose bodies don't cooperate the way it used to, Arajet is not for me. So on a scale of 1 to 10, would I give Arajet a passing or a failing grade? Man, I don't even think I've given them more than a 3.5. Them not even reach 4. Terrible, 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 horrible, awful. No, not Arajet. At least not for me. So anyways, until we meet again, this is Sherry, and you need to like, you need to subscribe, you need to give me some love on this channel so that we can continue to grow. Until we meet again, my friends. Ciao for now.